guys, and welcome to our live virtual Libre classes. I'm at home. You're going to be seeing a lot of my dogs. You might even be hearing them during our classes. The whole intention of this video right now is to give you a run through of how and why we're developing the classes the way that we are, and the equipment that you're going to need to make sure that you're safely playing along at home. So first, let me start off by saying that this has taken us a lot of time to really make sure that we're ensuring safety on our behalf, which is why even though we are doing a virtual class, we're still going to limit the size to 15. We're using Zoom, and Zoom gives us the ability to kind of view in on what you're doing at home. So with more people to watch, the harder it's going to get for me to ensure that you guys are being safe. So we're going to be doing the live classes. They aren't going to be accessed after they're done. So if you want in on these classes, it's imperative to jump on and purchase your class through MindBody, which is going to be $10 for a 30-minute core and leg class. And like I said, there's only 15 people possible, so just make sure you're ensuring that booking, all right? Now, the reason we're doing only a 30-minute class, Mark and I have been testing this at home. It's quite tough. Imagine doing the Megaformer exercises, but really with the no springs to help you. So while it is going to be quite tough and very targeted, I didn't want to go too far and make it the full 45-minute class, just because it is going to be kind of a learning curve for everyone. If you want to do arm exercises, knock yourself out, there's tons of stuff online. I'm sure you guys all have Kansas Soup, free weights at home that you can use on your own. So for this bit, we're just going to blast the butt, the legs, and the core, all the areas you know that we're infamous for. So I hope that you enjoy that. And let's talk about the equipment that we're using. So yesterday, Mark and I picked up this little bad boy. It's a roller dolly, and we got it from Bunnings. Now, I know a few of you have already rushed out and bought them. I am already hearing reports that Bunnings is running out of this size. This is the smallest you can safely get to execute these classes. So if you can't find this exact size, it's fine. You can get the bigger size. This one is 450 by 300. Now, it does have wheels that move in all directions. That's going to also add to some of the challenge through the movement. So the reason I'm not recommending using a skateboard is a skateboard is quite narrow, and it's going to be harder for you to do some of these movements. The beautiful thing with this is that it is a rectangular shape, so you've got more places for your feet, more places for your hands, and it does kind of have more of that 360 move, all right? So this is the smallest you're going to want to get, but you can go up as big as you can find. I do know that there are some specific ab dolly or fitness specific ones. If you can get your hands on those, great. I know they're sold out pretty much most places, especially online. Accessible, about 25 bucks, great value for what you're getting. I've had a couple of you ask me about slide plates. So these are slide plates. You can get them at Kmart. The thing I don't like about these slide plates, when we're doing something like wheelbarrow or any core where you want your legs and your arms moving together, this is tougher to coordinate that movement, all right? You're more likely to kind of lose things or catch yourself like in a split position because it is a little bit more difficult to control these slide plates. They're also more likely to scratch up your floors if you've got polished wood floors. So if you are going to be using slide plates because they're available or you can't find this, you're going to need to take a little bit more care, and you might want to think about putting a mat down underneath you, okay? Now, our home is tiled, and I know a lot of you have tile floors, which you can do all these exercises safely on the tile floors. The thing that makes it tougher about the tile floors is that when you're going through the motions and the wheels catch the grout, it does kind of detour things a little bit. You know the rules of Legree, slow and controlled. It's going to be even more so imperative now to keep things very slow and very controlled to make sure that we are taking the right approach to this safe exercise, okay? I am sitting on the planks from the studio. We have extra box of planks at the studio, so I brought some home. So the nice thing about this is it's making a continuous floor for me. If you also have access to a yoga mat or any kind of like flat, firm surface, use that to put your place on. As you can see, I don't need much space to execute these workouts. So if you are even ducking to Bunnings and you want to get some of these vinyl planks, you only need about 4 or 5 of them to give you a good enough workspace, all right? So I'm going to show you just a couple little movements so that you kind of understand what you're in for these classes. So first, when we're talking about core, we're going to almost pretend like this is going to be the carriage, okay? So anytime we would be placing our body on the carriage, that's when we're kind of thinking about this ab dolly or this moving dolly. So something like wheelbarrow, I'm gonna be instructing you to have your knees on the stable part, and your hands are gonna come to each side of your surface. Now, depending upon how much range of motion you get, you may need to move your knees back during the exercise. So we're simply gonna push down into that holding position, slide the movement away, slow, 2, 3, 4, and then drag it straight back in. So this is hard. So I really hope everyone is very careful in keeping that core tucked, shoulders down, and executing that really good form. So basically in the class, I'll be showing you the demonstration here, jumping up onto my computer to make sure I can check through everyone's form. Now, aside from the roller dolly and a stable, safe, hard workspace, garage would also do well, you're gonna need a couple stabilizing pieces. I have a bar stool from our kitchen and a dining room chair from our dining room table, okay? Both are going to work the same. The big thing when selecting your item for stabilizing is that it's stable. You do not want to pick something that's plastic, flimsy, or that could buckle under the pressure of your body weight, okay? We're almost going to be using this as kind of like bracing ourselves down when we're doing lunges and when we're doing movements where we're standing up on this motion, okay? So the big thing here, make sure you've chosen something that's not going to slide out from under you or that's not going to buckle under your pressure. So I'm going to show you 2 ways in which we're going to be using these. So I'm going to move this mat out of the way. I'll talk about that soon. So if we're doing something like catfish, okay? So catfish, obviously our toes are going to be on the slidey bit. We're going to pull in whatever we're stabilizing. So anything that's a little bit taller is going to be a little bit less aggressive because you're further away from the floor, okay? Now, movement like catfish, we need to be extra careful that we're bracing in the center of our platform. If you're using the edge of it, it's literally going to topple over on you. So we're stabilizing first by grabbing onto whatever our stiff surfaces. You can also use a bench top of your kitchen, dining room table if it's stable. So tippy toes are going to come on. Now first make sure you're very stable before anything happens, okay? Then we're going to come up onto the tippy toes, pressing down, just like with catfish. Tuck your tailbone in, spine through, flat, still and steady. Send it out, slow, 3, 4, and then we're bending and pulling and dragging in. So you can see it's quite tough because you're thinking about stabilizing down, pressing out slow, and pulling in slow. So the first few presses you do here, you're going to want to try to get the motion down, understand the way that things are moving and behaving before you actually finish the movement, okay? The same can be done with a smaller chair. So the smaller chair here, same thing, you're going to want to make sure that your floor is nice and stable. First, we're going to want to grab onto the most stable part of our equipment, which is the chair, coming up onto the tippy toes, back flat, sending it out slow, 2, 3, 4, and then pulling and dragging it in. So the big thing that I'm feeling as I send it out, the wheels are kind of jiggling a bit, which is adding complexity to my motion, but it's also making sure my core is super switched on. I've done what, 3 motions? I'm sweating already, okay? When we do things like teaser, where we have our feet crossed on the platform, you also need to be super careful, okay? So for a teaser motion, I'm gonna first grip onto my stable bit, cross left foot in front of right, legs are gonna stay straight, we're gonna come all the way down to that side hold, and then pull it up, pulling through the side of the waist towards the ceiling. So it's the same idea, stable to least stable. Now let's talk about lunges, okay? We are going to be a little limited in what lunges we can do, only because we don't have like red cables and things like that that we normally would have in the studio. We also don't have any springs to make things heavy for like runner's lunge. So with your lunges, I want you to be using the back of that chair that you were using for stabilizing, or countertop, kitchen top, whatever you're able to get your hands on. Now the foot that we're not going to be lunging with on this demonstration for elevator lunge, your foot's going to be on the floor, and then you're going to have that moving foot on the center of your moving dolly. So just like with any lunge that we do in Legree, first we're going to keep the shoulders even, bow the weight forward, knee stays above the ankle, we're coming down, slow, 2, 3, stopping right. We've got the tension in the back of the legs up to the side of the tush, and then as we come up, we're shooting that head towards the corner of our room. So I would prefer everybody, even if you don't use any stabilizing poles at the studio, that you practice using it here, okay? Like I said, the roller bit is a little more unpredictable than the Mega Former, so it's going to be really important that you're using good form, okay? So if I were to swap legs, same thing, shoulders down, we're leaning forward down into this lunge, and then pressing through the heel, back of the leg, straight up to the side of the tush is going to engage, all right? We can do hamstring curls here. Feet are going to be on the platform. So the biggest thing for me to make sure you're safe and to make sure that you're still able to get that signature Lagree burn is just to make sure that we're being smart. I want things very slow, very controlled, and I want everyone to practice those few movements. I'll put them down below in the email so that you can practice and make sure that the stable surfaces you've chosen are going to be good, that you feel safe, and that you feel ready. So please do a little bit of homework on your end to make sure you practice these few movements to get the feel, to get the flow. And if you have any questions, let me know.